coming out this evening. I know that most of you have commitments, but you chosen to come and listen to my story. First, allow me to thank everybody and those who put this function together, especially those who work in Community Learning Center. By having me here today, you have given me a chance to be the voice of the voiceless. My name is Simon Deng. I come from Sudan. I'm a Shuluk by tribe. Most of you are aware of Sudan on the crisis that coming out from the western part of Sudan, the region of Darfur. But today, probably some of you will hear things that you never heard, the things that took place in Sudan. I come from a country which is devastated by war for a very long time. I come from a country where human beings are still bought and sold into the slavery. And I'm standing before you today as a living proof of the slavery that still exists today in a country of Sudan. To most of you as students, when you hear about the slavery, each one of you always assume that you have to read it from the books because you assume that slavery is the history of the past. And absolutely you're right. Slavery is supposed to be the history of the past. But when it comes to the case of Sudan, slavery still exists, and slavery still exists up to today. When I was 9 years old, I was kidnapped by an Arab man, taken away from my lovely family, in which I was robbed from what a child always deserves, which is love from mom and dad and brothers and sisters. I was taken to the northern Sudan, and that gentleman went on and gave me away to his relative as a gift. Of course, when we talk about gifts, we always assume that we're talking about something you have to buy and wrap it up and give it to somebody that you admire. But today, you're looking at a human being made from the image of God that happened to be a gift. And that person is you. I spent 3.5 years as a child, but was not being considered as a child. I spent 3.5 years going through what a child should not go through. When we talk about the slavery, of course, we know the brutality that comes with it. When we talk about the slavery, the way you read it from the history books, it goes from a human being that is no longer a human being. A human being has to be there to wait for what he or she have to be ordered by the slave master in every form where he or she have no right to say no. I know it for fact. In the village that I was being kept as a slave in Sudan, they don't have running water. People get their water from the river Nile. And usually the donkeys are the ones always carrying the water from the Nile into the houses. But since they have a slave in that house, that job is mine. I have to be the ones who get up earlier, and I have to be the ones who who go to sleep late, simply because I have a lot of work to do. When we talk about I'm the last to go to bed, I don't have a regular place like any human beings where I can call as bed. My place is the place where they kept the animals, in which by itself I have to make sure that place is clean, because this is where I will spend the night. I was constantly kept under terror, being beaten, being tortured, even that I did nothing wrong at all. I know only one word, and that word is yes, and yes to everything that I'm being told to do. Even yes to do things that a human being, leave out a child, should not be forced to do that, because I don't have options. I don't know how to say no to anything. That is what it means when I talk about I'm being robbed of my dignity as a human being and turned into a piece of property where I have to be wait, to be ordered to do things that a child should not go there. People have to eat, in which I have to wait if there is left over. This is where I rely, and this is where I consider as my food. I cannot share a cup that everybody drinks in. My cup is being kept separately because I was not being seen as a human being. My fellow human beings, to talk about what happened to me as a child, believe it or not, it is not easy, because what I am telling you or what you hear from me, it is not the whole things. And you have to forgive me and understand that, because I'm a human being like one of you. I was being treated worse than animals because I was not being seen as a human being. From where I used to receive love from my mom and my dad and my brothers, now I have to take everything day by day, in which always the day that I'm in is no longer is being counted. I always hope for tomorrow, because I have to deal with the torture, I have to deal with demonizations, and I have to arm myself with hope, assuming that one day or tomorrow somebody will come and realize that a child should not go through what I'm going through. And that hope came when that family had to move to the big city because their son had to join junior high schools. In that village, they didn't have junior high school at that time. It was in that city, a city of Kosti in the northern Sudan, where I saw the three gentlemen that happened to have the Shilluk tribal marks in their forehead like what I have today. I didn't have those tribal marks at that time. When I saw them, it was the hope that I had been waiting for came to me. It was something that I had been patient for is here. And I went to them to tell them that what I'm going through. Most important, since I didn't have those tribal marks that I have today, I have to tell them everything using the word of mouth, telling them my mom names, my dad name, the name of the village that I came from in the southern Sudan. I have to convince them, because I could not believe that for 3.5 years now I'm seeing people who came from my tribe from southern Sudan. And one of them said to me that he knows somebody who come from the village that I mentioned. They will go and talk to that individual and they will come back the following days. I got disappointed without realizing the tears just ran down in my eyes. And another gentleman put his arm